This right here just feels right. Many people will tell you that WWE in 2011 was horrible, and I don't know why. Sure, we had Michael Cole as Triple H, and Michael Cole sucking Jerry Lawler's barbecued foot. Look, I'm not trying to say that it was perfect, it had quite a few flaws, but look at this photograph. This picture right here basically sums up WWE in 2011. It was a revolution. For the first time, it kind of felt like fans had some kind of control in the WWE. All of this is exactly what the fans wanted to see. Don't get me wrong, 2011 had a lot of flaws, but it still made a strong point. So in this video, I want to talk about Raw and SmackDown in 2011. If you like these kind of videos in the future, you'll see these on my Patreon, basically old school pay-per-view reviews, storyline reviews, moment reviews, all that sweet stuff is gonna be early on Patreon. I think I'll start next month. Before we kiss that sweet Raw Super Show ass, let's talk about the negatives because, let's be honest, 2011 had quite a few. The first one being Alberto Del Rio winning the Royal Rumble match, the largest Royal Rumble match. On paper, a 40-man Royal Rumble sounds great, and it was actually the only time we saw it for some reason. WWE had guys like Nexus, Score, so they basically needed a lot of guys to be in this Royal Rumble match. They decided to make it a 40-man Rumble match. I can't even describe you the disappointment that I felt when Del Rio won the match. We also had one of the worst WrestleManias in history, which is WrestleMania 27. Sure, it had quite a few good moments, last Edge's match, Triple H versus The Undertaker, one of the best RKOs, but it also had Lawler versus Cole, and one of the worst main events in WWE history. Which brings me to Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler. I actually didn't mind it, I loved Michael Cole as a heel and I actually really miss it. It just took way too much of TV time in my and basically everyone's opinion. Another unfortunate moment is Rey Mysterio finally winning the WWE Championship and losing it the same day, which made sense when it comes to the storyline, but why wouldn't you give the championship to John Cena in the first place?
I'm gonna bring this championship to my family.
No, you're not going to, Rey. You're not going to. We saw Sin Cara's debut, which was far from success. He became the face of Botchamania, and unfortunately we saw Edge's retirement, which you can't really blame on creative, right? But when people are telling me that Monday Night Raw in 2011 was absolutely horrible, I don't agree and I don't understand where people are coming from. So let me explain why it still was one of the biggest years in WWE history. Trust me, 2011 had a lot of business changing moments. So get your cup of coffee, a bowl of spaghetti, and let's do this. In 2011, we finally saw the return of the Great One, The Rock. He received one of the biggest pops in WWE history. He cut one hell of a promo. He said from Stone Cold Steve Austin to The Rock to "You can see me." He called out John Cena. And that's when people really turned on John Cena. Like, we had a lot of negative reaction towards Cena, but after this, my man's career was very, very different. You have John Cena, the current face of the WWE, the poster boy for the kids, and then you see the return of someone who was running WWE back in the day and was one of the most savage WWE superstars. Obviously, you're gonna hate John Cena even more because the boy is back. The crowd was very divided. Women and children were chanting for Cena, everyone else for The Rock. People forget that 2011 gave us the biggest WWE match in history. Technically, the match happened in 2012, but 2011 started this rivalry. Now look people, I absolutely love this version of the Intercontinental Championship. But 2011 gave us a very good Intercontinental Championship run of Cody Rhodes. It was rare back then to see good mid-card championship title runs. And he decided to bring back this piece of beauty, which in this video, I know it looks weird. Later we had a few tweaks so this championship looked a bit better. Cody brought back the classic Intercontinental title, and it's still one of the best moments in WWE history. Everyone with that championship looked so much more legit, and it felt like a strong mid-card championship again. It was long overdue. Mark Henry is one of the most talented people on the roster, but for some reason, he never really won any championships, and I don't know why. He was in the WWE for a very long time, and it was about damn time. Mark Henry turned heel, and Randy Orton was the World Heavyweight Champion at the time. What we thought is going to be just another Randy Orton going through every superstar moment, Mark Henry shockingly won the World Heavyweight Championship and started the Hall of Pain. This basically changed Mark Henry's career and the way people looked at Mark Henry. It's really unfortunate that later they kinda ruined Henry because he had one of the most dominant looks and gimmicks in WWE history. During that run he looked very intimidating, and this theme song fit him even more. Okay, we'll talk about more moments, but let's talk about the biggest one, which is the rise of CM Punk. CM Punk leaves commentary, attacks John Cena, starts the new Nexus, and he wasn't super over back then. But then we got the pipe bomb. Yes, the pipe bomb happened in 2011. Arguably the greatest wrestling promo of all time. Money in the Bank 2011 happened in Chicago, and the fans shat all over John Cena. The support for CM Punk was absolutely insane. CM Punk won the WWE Championship, and in kayfabe he left the WWE with the title. He didn't really. He didn't do that. Then we got Undisputed Championship, we got Kevin Nash, Del Rio, Triple H versus CM Punk, and I know most of it was really unfortunate because they didn't really capitalize on CM Punk's popularity, and he lost a lot of matches that he shouldn't have lost. But I don't think it was a failure. I still think it was a huge success because it didn't ruin CM Punk at all. If anything, people just started chanting CM Punk even more and got behind him even more. That was a very business-changing moment because WWE never really wanted CM Punk to be at the top. But at the moment, he was more popular than John Cena. It was a bad year for Cena, by the way. The Rock returns, Punk gets popular. What about Cena? Look, R-Truth can be funny. To me, heel R-Truth was a lot funnier. He turned heel when he turned on his partner John Morrison, and then he got obsessed with John Cena, starting a rivalry, calling everyone Little Jimmys, and this was huge. R-Truth actually even main evented a pay-per-view. Capital Punishment, Cena versus R-Truth. Cena retained the championship. R-Truth never won the title. Looking back, I think it was a mistake. He was such a great heel, he didn't even have a theme song anymore. That's how weird this whole thing was, and his tag team with The Miz, really underrated as well. Zack Ryder is no longer with the WWE, but if it wasn't for 2011, he would be released a long ass time ago. So basically, Zack Ryder had a YouTube show, a very popular YouTube show at the time, and that's what got him over. During matches, people chanted Zack Ryder. We want Ryder. Even matches that didn't even have Zack Ryder, so WWE couldn't ignore that. Dolph Ziggler was the United States Champion at the time, and we finally got the United States Championship, in which Zack Ryder won the big one, the US title, which felt like a world championship victory, honestly, because it's what the fans wanted. The fans won against the WWE. We won't talk about what happened later, but it's still one of the greatest WWE moments of all time. I liked Zack Ryder, but looking back, I really don't know why. That was a weird gimmick. Why would anyone like that? Many people forget Daniel Bryan won the briefcase in 2011 and cashed in on the Big Show to become the World Heavyweight Champion, turned heel, used AJ Lee, and it was basically just all sorts of fun. Another indie darling becoming the World Heavyweight Champion. 5'7", 5'8" guy finally being a champion. I know it happened before, but it's a rarity. At this time, WWE just focused on talent, so it was quite a big deal for the business. It wasn't like Edge retired in January, we still got a pretty cool Edge's run in the WWE in 2011. I'm pretty sure we were supposed to get Edge versus Christian, but Edge had to retire. That was unfortunate, but it created a brand new opportunity. We saw Alberto Del Rio versus Christian for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship, and Christian finally won the big one, the World Heavyweight title. Unfortunately though, Christian lost the championship 5 days later. What seemed horrible at the time actually kicked off a very interesting story. Christian versus Randy Orton one more match story. During this rivalry, Christian couldn't beat Randy Orton. Even when he did, he won the World Heavyweight Championship back and held it for like a month, I'm pretty sure. He didn't win the championship clean. But it was still a very, very good story, and if it wasn't for CM Punk versus John Cena, people would be talking about the story a lot more. These two stories happened at the same time, and both were really, really awesome. I just wish Christian held the WWE World Heavyweight Championship for a little bit longer. So even though we had to watch this while eating, even though I lost my appetite, don't worry, I got it back. In my opinion, 2011 is not as bad as people are making it out to be. So thank you for watching this video. To support the channel, make sure to click that notification button, subscribe button, like this video, the tribal forehead, peace, love, and hugs. Acknowledge me.